The Vatican museums are another important part of the Papal City, and we were privileged to be able to tour them after hours with a private guide who took us through several galleries. The priceless treasures in these museums take many forms, not just paintings, sculptures, and artifacts, but ancient maps and tapestries. Here's some of what we saw. While you watch, let me share a few gee whiz numbers with you. There are more than 26 museums in the Vatican palaces, with priceless collections numbering more than 70,000 exhibits. More than 6 million people a year visit the Vatican museums. Now we have an optical illusion called trompe-l'œil, which is French for deceive the eye. This ceiling decoration is not three-dimensional at all, but painted on a two-dimensional surface. The effect is quite convincing as we walk down a long gallery of maps. No, this is not the museum shop, but no doubt there are visitors who wish it were. It was interesting to see that art restoration and preservation work is continuous and is underway night and day. This lonely fellow is facing a big job. As we approach the Apostolic Palace, which is the official residence of the Pope, we come to the Raphael rooms. The great Renaissance artist Raphael and his studio were commissioned by Pope Julius II in 1508 to redecorate his suite of 4 reception rooms with frescoes depicting events in the lives of past popes. No surprise, Pope Julius II appeared multiple times, either as a participant or an observer. Our guide Franco had studied his art history and was able to point out who some of the prominent clerics, politicians, and philosophers were in each painting. Including this cameo appearance, Raphael gave Michelangelo, his creative rival. The Apostolic Palace is also home to the famous Sistine Chapel. In 1515, Pope Leo X called upon Raphael to design 10 tapestries to hang on the walls of the Sistine Chapel. The process took 6 years and focused on the lives of St. Peter and St. Paul, the founders of the Christian Church in Rome. However, Raphael's work has been overshadowed by the more acclaimed but controversial frescoes of Michelangelo. Our tour group was privileged to have the Sistine Chapel to ourselves. No crowds, and a very provocative guide who explained that Michelangelo was reluctant to accept Pope Julius II's commission because he considered himself a sculptor, not a painter. But he did agree to take on the task in exchange for artistic freedom, which the Pope gave him. The result was the appearance of many more nude figures than the conservative clergy were expecting. No halos for angels, and the appearance of a woman peering out from behind God at the time Adam was created. Eve was supposed to come later. Eyebrows were raised, but according to our guide Franco, the Pope had gotten what he wanted, a fresh artistic approach that would get notice. Michelangelo even encapsulated God inside of a shape that looked like a human brain, something the artist had observed in dissecting cadavers. Whereas Michelangelo's ceiling was upbeat in its message, his massive painting of the Last Judgment, which covered the wall behind the altar, was not. Several years had passed since he had completed the ceiling. He was invited back, but the church was in turmoil, thanks to the Protestant Reformation. In the painting, Christ was shown on Judgment Day, sending the blessed up to heaven, but the damned down to hell. On that note, we started down ourselves, using a strikingly modern spiral staircase to exit the Vatican and ponder all we had seen.